Bugatti's CEO went on camera and claimed that the airbags in a totaled Chiron are so unique, so custom-built, that no one outside their own facility could safely handle them. Hours later, a technician in the UK cross-checked the part numbers and found them listed under an Audi A3. Not a comparable component. The identical number. And if you're asking why a billion-dollar automaker would gamble on a claim this easy to disprove, keep watching, because the reason exposes exactly how far this dispute has gone. One of Matt Armstrong's close friends won a wrecked Bugatti Chiron at auction, paid in full, took ownership, began the rebuild process. That's when Bugatti responded in a way nobody saw coming. Not with a lawsuit, not with legal paperwork, with a phone call, and not to the owner, but directly to the suppliers holding the parts. Almost immediately, every component required to finish the rebuild vanished from availability. No court involvement, no official notice. Just a private conversation that quietly froze an entire supply chain. And if your first thought is that this sounds like reasonable brand protection, wait until you see what's really being protected here. Before we continue, go ahead and subscribe, because this video is about to reveal how luxury automakers keep a grip on vehicles they technically no longer own. What's coming next will change how you view every too dangerous to repair claim you hear from a manufacturer again. Bugatti's public position is straightforward. The vehicle is unsafe to return to the road. The airbags only work in a Chiron. The structural integrity can't be confirmed anywhere but their own factory. They frame it all as protection, for the brand, for future buyers, for the public. But that story falls apart the second you ask why Bugatti didn't simply purchase the car themselves at auction. They saw it listed. They watched it get sold to someone else. They tracked exactly who bought it and when work on it began. Only after all of that did the phone call start. That's not safety. That's reputation management wearing a safety costume. And once you understand what's actually at stake for them, the whole story reads differently. Because this isn't just Bugatti versus one guy with a wrench. This is Bugatti pushing back against the entire principle that ownership means control once a car is sold. They're up against decades of right to repair pressure. They're up against EU consumer protection standards. They're up against a world where quiet corporate moves don't stay quiet for long. This blockade was meant to happen behind the scenes, invisible to the public. Instead, it turned into a live demonstration of exactly how luxury manufacturers try to hold on to control they shouldn't legally have anymore. Bugatti practically built the case against itself. One more detail worth throwing in here. There's talk circulating in the industry, unconfirmed but persistent, that Bugatti didn't anticipate Matt having supplier connections outside the standard VW parts pipeline. Their entire strategy seems to have assumed the blockade would be total, cutting the rebuild off before it ever got started. Instead, they ended up facing a creator who spotted the tactic immediately, recognized the leverage being used, and turned it into a story about a manufacturer overstepping its bounds. Let's dig into what Bugatti would really rather you not examine closely: shared components. The Chiron gets marketed as the absolute peak of engineering, custom-built, exclusive, off-limits to anyone outside the factory. But once you actually open it up and start pulling parts, you discover pieces that have nothing exclusive about them at all. Airbag modules that trace directly back to Audi sensors, the same ones used in Porsche models. Electronics that appear in standard VW Group parts listings. And here's the frustrating part. Those identical parts cost a fraction of what Bugatti charges customers who go through official channels. This was never really a safety issue. It's about protecting profit margins. The instant Matt reassembles this car on camera and shows viewers what's genuinely inside it, Bugatti loses the exclusivity that justifies those enormous repair invoices. Bugatti didn't need a legal team for any of this. They didn't file a single document. All it took was a phone call to suppliers with one simple message: hold shipment. And because Bugatti operates under the VW Group umbrella, with influence stretching across several connected brands' parts access, those suppliers complied instantly. No legal footing required. No documentation trail left behind. Just pure leverage. And that kind of leverage only survives in silence. The moment it becomes public knowledge that Bugatti can shut down a private rebuild on a car it no longer owns, the whole arrangement gets exposed for what it is. Which is exactly what's happening in real time right now. Alex holds full legal ownership of this vehicle. No ambiguity whatsoever. Under both American and European law, Once a car sells at auction, ownership transfers entirely to the buyer. That means the right to modify, repair, or even dismantle it, unless a specific agreement says otherwise. No such agreement existed here. So what Bugatti is running isn't a legal strategy at all. It's a supply chain chokehold. Since they can't win in a courtroom, they're cutting things off at the source instead. Without parts, there's no rebuild. Without a rebuild, there's no exposure. Had Alex quietly given up on the project, this tactic would have worked flawlessly. He didn't, and that decision changed everything. Matt carries serious weight in this fight. Millions of subscribers. A channel built around full transparency, showing the labor, the components, the real dollar figures involved. That format is what built his following in the first place. And without meaning to, Bugatti just gave him the biggest storyline of his career. Every video covering this blockade brings in another surge of views. Every update adds more viewers questioning why a hypercar brand is this nervous about a public rebuild. Every episode drives home the same fact, that a supposedly irreplaceable Chiron runs on parts available off a standard shelf. Here's the reality check sitting right in the center of all this. If Bugatti truly believed this vehicle was a genuine danger to anyone, there's a straightforward fix available. Buy it back, cover the costs involved, scrap the car for good. Instead, they left it in the current owner's hands and simply made repairs impossible. That decision alone reveals the real motive. This was never about protecting anyone's safety. It was about protecting an image. And the moment they chose image over actually pulling a supposedly dangerous car off the road, they lost any credibility on the safety argument entirely. Now let's talk about who's backing Matt in all of this. Mansory. And if you're familiar with high-end vehicle customization, that name alone shifts the entire dynamic. Mansory represents old-school influence in this space. Decades of experience modifying elite vehicles. Supplier relationships that Bugatti simply can't switch off. Ties across the VW group and far beyond it. And Mansory has no reason to honor Bugatti's blockade because their business model is literally built on taking Bugatti's cars and making them even more distinctive. Bugatti can pressure standard suppliers. Mansory isn't one of them. Here's an angle that hasn't gotten much attention yet. Bugatti doesn't only lose if this particular rebuild goes through. They lose every time another owner attempts a similar repair on a wrecked hypercar and cites this exact case as evidence it's doable. They lose every time a supplier gets caught refusing shipments without any legal justification. They lose every time a customer realizes those massive service costs are built on a myth, that only Bugatti technicians can touch these vehicles. That myth is already cracking. This was never really about one wrecked Chiron. It's about whether Bugatti can keep selling the illusion of total exclusivity, and this rebuild is the exact test that illusion can't withstand. So here's the current situation. Bugatti's CEO made an airbag claim that doesn't check out. The parts blockade is unraveling in front of a growing audience. The safety justification has caved in on itself. Mansory is now backing the project. Matt has millions of viewers tracking every development. And that Chiron remains parked in a private garage, standing as proof this was never truly about protecting the public.